let's talk about the Pythagorean theorem. So the Pythagorean theorem is simply here on the right, where you take the legs of any right triangle, or the legs are the short sides that are connected to the right angle. You square them and add them, so a squared plus b squared equals the square of the hypotenuse. So let's apply this formula to solve for the hypotenuse or to solve for a leg. As long as you have two sides, you can solve for the third, no matter what kind of side it is. Okay, let's look at this problem. In this problem, what we're missing is our hypotenuse. We're missing C. Now, I could call this A and this B, or I could call this B and this A. That doesn't really matter so much as long as I know that they are both legs. So 16 squared plus 8 squared equals C squared. Now 16 squared is 256. It is. Plus 8 squared, which is 64, equals C squared. So if I add those two together, I'm going to get 320 equals C squared. Okay, C isn't by itself. I need to do something to undo that square. What I need to do to undo the square is I need to take the square root. Okay, so the square root and square cancel on this side. I'll have C and the square root of 320. I need to convert that into a decimal. I'm going to enter into my calculator, square root of 320. My calculator will give me 17.8885 and so forth. We're rounding to the nearest tenth. That's one digit after the decimal place. So will the second 8 make the first 8 round up or stay the same? And it will make it round up. So 17.9 is going to be my final answer. And now this one says a right triangle has legs of lengths 13 and 17. So it identifies them as legs. So those are going to be my A and B. Find the length of the hypotenuse. So 13 squared plus 17 squared equals my hypotenuse, which is C squared. Okay, just to make this a little bit easier, I'm just going to go ahead and plug in 13 squared plus 17 squared into my calculator all at once. And that's going to give me 458 equals C squared. Then all I need to do is take the square root. Square root of 458 is 21.4009. And while I'm looking at this, I want to round to the nearest tenth, so that's the first digit after the decimal place. The 0 will make the 4 stay the same, 21.4. Now this one, notice something. I have the leg here and the hypotenuse, which means I can say, I'll just call this A, just for the sake of ease. So A squared plus 21 squared equals 25 squared. Notice the hypotenuse stays by itself. So this is going to give me A squared plus 441 equals 625. So in order to solve, before I take the square root, I actually have to do some subtraction. Minus 441. And that's going to give me that A squared is equal to 184. Now at this point, I can take the square root. Square root and square will cancel, and the square root of 184 is approximately 13.564. Going around to the nearest tenth. And so that's going to give me 13.6, because the 6 will make the 5 round up. All right, let's look at this one. We've got a right triangle that has a leg of 9, so I'm going to call that A, and a hypotenuse of 25, so we call that C. So 9 squared plus B squared equals 25 squared. 9 squared is 81. Plus B squared, we don't know what it is yet, equals 625. So again, on this one, we're going to have to subtract. And B squared will be equal to 244. After that, my last step is going to be to take the square root to find B. Which is approximately 15.620. Now I'll round to the nearest tenth. So I'm going to look at the 6, and will the 2 make it round up to stay the same? It'll make it stay the same. 15.6. Now let's go over this one for a second. Now if I'm looking at this, I might be tempted to say, well, I don't see a right triangle, but I see a right angle right here, which actually, it turns out, if that's a right angle, then this is also a right angle, which means that right here, I have a right triangle, and I have a leg, and a leg, and I'm solving for x, the hypotenuse. So 6 squared plus 7 squared equals x squared, which means I've got 36 plus 49 equals x squared. Which means I have 85 equals x squared. And then, of course, my final step would be to take the square root, which is going to be 9.2195 equals x. Oh, it says what is the value of x, and it's already got it rounded for us at 9.2. All right, let's look at this one. We see 2 tick marks, so if this is marked as 6, then this is also 6, and I have a right triangle here where I know the hypotenuse and I know a leg. I'm trying to solve for the last leg, so I'll have 3 squared plus x squared equals 6 squared. So I'll have 9 plus x squared equals 36 minus 9 minus 9. X squared is going to give me 27. Final step again is going to be to take the square root. That would give us an x of 5.196. So we see that they rounded that to 5.2 because the 9 made the 1 round up. Good luck on Get More Math.